Hi, I am Becky Meagher and welcome to Transitions Body, Mind, Spirit. Transitions, we've all been to many transitions in our lives, and I like to use the metaphor of triathlons. And that's something I've been doing 13 years. And triathlons, first you get in the water and you swim, and then you get in a transition area. And then you bicycle, then you get in another transition area, and then you run. And that's just a great metaphor for what we do in life. We go from one thing to another, and particularly with when you do triathlons, lots of times, no matter how old or fit or young, there can be injuries. And sometimes we need to have a little help. And we have an expert today. We have an expert physical therapist, Chris Wolfe, who has his own practice, and he's going to tell us about physical therapy, about how he has started in his life. And there'll be a second show too that he's actually going to demonstrate what does he do to those folks. And I'm going to be a guinea pig, and we have other guinea pigs that's going to show you about what is physical therapy like. So today, Chris, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much.
So glad you're here.
I am too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and it's so thrilling because you actually work on me.
I do.
And
I
really
do.
help my body. Yes. So give to the public out there that doesn't do triathlons, and maybe they're thinking about doing a little running or something. Explain, what does a physical therapist do, like if nobody knows?
Yeah, definitely. You know, physical therapy is such a broad, kind of umbrella term, really. And it can mean different things to different people. When you're in school, it's basically a 3-year program, postgraduate after you do your undergraduate work. And you study everything from pediatrics to geriatrics, working with neurological conditions, everything to orthopedic injuries, sports injuries, things like that. So physical therapy, we become movement experts, and that's really what we are taught to do. Look to know and learn how the body is supposed to move, recognize abnormal movements, and then figure out a way via exercise, just cueing, teaching how to improve that movement. And that can basically mean, again, many things to different people, but from my perspective, I look at everything from the neck, lower back, from a knee, from a hip to an ankle. Somebody usually comes to me with some type of an injury, something is hurting, something is painful, or maybe it's not operating correctly, and I figure out if it's not moving correctly, many times it's going to be painful. Is that a weakness, muscle? Is it just stiff? Is it lack of flexibility? Is it lack of just knowing how to move it? Have they forgotten how to move it? Control. So figuring that out, and then figuring out an intervention to teach them how to improve that and get them back to moving correctly and back to doing whatever task they want to be able to do.
And that task can be just going up the stairs, or it can be doing an Ironman.
Very much so. It can be as simple as, I can't get up out of my chair without my left knee hurting, versus I can't finish a 140-mile race where I'm swimming, biking, and running without my left knee hurting. And there's two different type of people that will come to me and have that problem.
Wow.
Somebody who can't get down from a chair, and that is impending their life, that their quality of life is very decreased, versus somebody else who's saying, I race at a high level, and it is hurting my passion, maybe my livelihood. If they're a professional racer, my left knee is creating an issue. So it means something different to each person, but it's important to each one too.
Right, right. Well, tell us a little bit about you, how you started and transitioned to the path you're on now. Start where you were born as a kid. Were you athletic, and what did you do?
Well, I grew up in Georgia. That's why I have a strong Southern Georgia accent, right?
No.
Not really. I've been told I have a little bit of one. I was actually born in West Virginia. My dad is from West Virginia. I was 2 years old. He moved my family down to Georgia for work. And I grew up in a household where my mother was also born in South Tennessee, grew up all over the country, a lot in Colorado, and so she doesn't really have a Southern accent either. And so although I was growing up in Georgia where I was surrounded by Southern accents, my father didn't have one, my mother didn't have one, my sisters, I was the youngest of three, my sisters started adopting a strong Southern accent and I didn't like it at all. So I really, like, out of rebellion, I start trying to not have a Southern accent. But anyway, grew up the youngest of three, but the only boy. So I learned to cut grass, learned to work on the vehicles, learned to work on cars. Athletic, I could run fast, and I had decent hand-eye coordination. I was never a big kid. I was really kind of skinny. I was hoping to be 6'4" when I was a child, but nobody in my family is over 6 foot, so that wasn't going to happen. And so I topped out at 5'10", and I could run really fast. I was really pigeon-toed as a child. I mean, really pigeon-toed. I can turn my feet. They said I looked like a little wind-up doll when I would run, but I was running since I was 3, and every physician said, just let him go. He'll straighten out, and he'll always be a really fast runner. And I was. You know, when I would play sports, basketball, baseball, I was always the one that was just chasing the things down. And I loved it, and I kind of fell into it very naturally. I never had any major formal training, but I loved it, and I was always short, sprinting, fast distances. Never looked into long distances at all. Biked just for fun, but I was always outside. Never swam. I was never going to drown, but I never swam laps. So, you know, playing sports off and on throughout high school drove my parents crazy about what I wanted to do as a profession. And I looked at everything from wildlife management, because I had an uncle that did that, to architecture, because I had an uncle that did engineering. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. But as I became a senior in high school, got exposed to the medical field. And I loved that. Something about that kind of drew me to it. You know, math and science, I just gravitated toward that easily. Heard about physical therapy, never experienced it, which is really unlike most people that go into physical therapy. Most people are exposed to it because they had some type of injury and they said, I had to go to physical therapy, I had to work on my knee, my ACL. I never had exposure to it, but it captivated me that somebody could actually have a medical degree, but work with somebody on a hands-on experience and actually functionally help somebody without writing prescriptions, doing medication. And that, I was really intrigued by that. So I volunteered at a PT clinic that was nearby. They had athletic training, occupational therapy, and physical therapy.
And how old were you when you did that?
I was 18. I was 18 at the time. I was about to go off to college, and I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I volunteered at that clinic, and I just got exposed to all three of those, athletic training, PT, and OT. And loved everything about it. I just seeing people functionally helping people just learn to live their lives again. And it intrigued me, and just through exercise. And I loved exercise. I loved the concept of that. And it really struck a note with me. I was with an occupational therapist, and they deal primarily more upper extremity, ADLs, learning to use handwriting skills, fine motor tasks. And I saw a mother who kind of broke down in tears after she started gaining more movement in her hands with the therapist, and she started crying because she said she could finally hold her daughter again.
Wow.
And if that doesn't, like, move you, at that time, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to make an impact in someone's life that they're like, I can actually see physical change happening. Because what greater reward is that? Right. And I started as a freshman, and I said I'm going to do PT. And they said every person's in college, you know, what's the average? They change their degree, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 times.
Right.
So I went in as pre-med, thinking that I'm going to do something medical, but they tell me I'm going to change my mind, so I'll do pre-med because that will meet all my prerequisites to go on to pretty much any program that I want to, but I think I really want to do PT. And I never changed my mind. I have a biology and chemistry degree. I actually left Georgia and I came to Tennessee to go to college. I went to Freed-Hardeman University.
Where is that?
That is a small town in Henderson, Tennessee, West Tennessee. It's a small Christian private school. I had some family that went there. Being 18 years old, you know, everyone was trying to get away from home. And my parents told me, I don't know why they didn't trust me. They said, you can go to a state school, stay close by, or you can go to a Christian private school far away. And I was like, all right, let's go to a Christian
Let's
private
go
school
far
far
away.
away. It's 8 hours away from home. It's in Tennessee, where I hear they have different seasons. In Georgia, we only had hot and cold, hot and
Oh.
cool. And so in Henderson, Tennessee, West Tennessee, right above Mississippi, I had some family that went to Freed-Hardeman, and they had a pretty good biology department there. And so I did a 4-year graduate degree, undergraduate degree there, biology and chemistry, and I continued to stay on my path. I had to get a lot of volunteer hours to apply to PT school. And I knew that it would be an easier time for me to apply to graduate school if I went back to Georgia, because I was a resident of Georgia. I didn't want to pay out-of-state taxes again to come to stay in Tennessee. But I loved Tennessee. I loved everything about it. Became familiar with Nashville, Middle Tennessee, Chattanooga, just from visiting other people while I was in school. And I had a feeling that I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to work, but I'm going to go back home to Georgia to go to PT school. And Georgia has several PT programs, and I applied to a few of those, was accepted, luckily pretty easily. It's actually a really challenging program to get into.
That's what I've heard. It's very difficult to get into PT school.
It is. You know, it was so long ago. I've been out for so long that I always trying to joke that I said, yeah, they wanted us to there, you know. There was such an odd ratio. There were a lot more females applying than males, and I think they wanted some more male students to kind of balance things out. But I did okay on my GRE. I had a really good GPA because I just put a lot of time into studying. And I think I interviewed pretty well, and they weigh all those options. Got into PT school, and I went to the Medical College of Georgia. And
That's where PT school was?
Yes. So that is in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
And it's a really big medical school. They have everything from radiology, to medicine, surgery, a dentistry school. They have all kinds of things there, and all they are is just a medical program. Applied there. It's one of the oldest programs in Georgia for PT. And I had some family that lived close to Augusta. It wasn't too far from where I grew up. And so I went to school there. At the time, it was a 2.5-year program. Most programs now are 3 years. They've expanded it. But did that program. And during the program, you do clinical rotations where you study for a while, and then you spend so many weeks or months in an actual clinical setting where you practice what you learn under the tutelage of a licensed clinician. And you go back to school, continue to study, go off and do another clinical, and you get to choose your different clinical sites. So some people actually travel all over the country, get exposure to great experiences, learn and meet new people. I did all of mine in Tennessee because I was really determined that I was going to come back to Tennessee.
You were going to move to Tennessee.
I loved it. I loved it, you know. And none of my classmates competed with me over those sites because nobody else wanted to come to Tennessee. And so I got to choose. So I did 2 rotations in Knoxville, 1 in Chattanooga, and I did 1 in Nashville with Vanderbilt. I did 1 in Georgia, and then when graduation took place, which was the end of 2006, I was interviewing for jobs, and I found the company that I've worked for the past 11 years here in Nashville. And I packed everything that I owned into a car.
Wow.
Graduated. I took boards in Chattanooga and then drove on into Nashville, and luckily I had a job lined up, and things just started kind of propelling after that.
Sounds like you've always been very focused, and from the the end of high school, when you just for a summer, I guess, tried being around PTs and went, oh wow, this is what I want.
Yes.
And it just really
it resonated very much with me.
Yeah.
And I wanted that. I was always the kind of person that I never wanted to be able to wake up and regret doing what I was doing for a profession. And I made a deal with myself. If I've ever woke up and regretted going to work or doing something, then I needed to do something else. And when I wanted to I didn't want to have any shadow of a doubt And when I found that, it resonated that much with me, and it always has. It always has. And so I feel like I'm super blessed to be able to find something that I'm super passionate about. And I love learning it. And I continue to just try to push to continue to learn, because it's medicine, and medicine continues to evolve and grow. So you need to continue to try to keep up with it too. And that's what I love about our field as well.
So you're saying that it continues to evolve, and you're continually studying, and I just as a person in the public, I'm going, oh, now it says we're supposed to be doing this, and now it says it's supposed to be doing this, and we're not supposed to do high intensity training. And what are you finding out there? Are you finding things a lot different than when you were taught?
Yes. Yes.
What are a few of the things that would surprise people?
I would say the things that would kind of surprise people are just really how we treat really common injuries. Everything from, when somebody comes in with knee pain, or, the tendon that kind of connects your kneecap to your leg, as one example. The treatment that we were taught even in school was much more advanced than what was taught like 5 years ago. And the way that I treat that now is so different than the way I was taught in school 11 years ago. And it's just because they were finding out that, we used to think that stretching and flexibility and these type of modalities to kind of calm down inflammation, because the thought of everything was inflamed, everything, the swelling is occurring, everything's inflamed, and we have to kind of calm that down first. And then they found out that, no, that's not really happening. The body doesn't stay in this constant state of inflammation constantly. It can still be just as painful, but it's actually this transition from your body's being inflamed to that tissue being really broken down. And the way that your body just doesn't naturally regenerate that tissue, it actually has to be stressed and exercised and challenged in order for it to be regenerated and become strong again. And so that's just been a different concept.
So give me an example of that, because
Yes.
the conventional wisdom, oh, I hurt this part of my body, I shouldn't use it.
Right.
And I know a lot of people who don't exercise much, and oh, I can't do anything because I hurt something or other.
That's
I hurt
right.
my knee, and I really can't really hike.
Yeah, I see that all the time. Everything from somebody having a hip injury, and they say, well, I hurt my hip or I hurt my lower back. And the common treatment for lower back injuries was bed rest. That used to be like, you get off your back, you hurt your back, or the common layman's knowledge, I threw out my back, and they used to say, go home, lie down, take these anti-inflammatories, don't get out of bed. And that's almost the complete opposite now. No, we need to keep you moving, because your body wants to heal. Your body will heal if you actually keep moving. You have to just basically find out the paths that you don't want to keep creating injury, but you need to keep moving. Your bodies need to stay in motion, because if you're not going to use that, your body will start to get weaker and weaker and weaker. So the way that we treat a back injury or a hip injury or knee injury is we keep it moving. We just have to find the level of movement that you can do that continues to help promote improving range of motion, improving strength. It doesn't hurt the injury, but the last thing you want to do is just kind of shut it down completely, because your body will start to becoming weaker, stiffer, and loss of flexibility. That's the last thing you want.
So you want to continue to move.
Yes.
But a lot of people are afraid, and there doesn't seem to be much prevention out there. It's like people, well, give an example, like there's programs like at some of the running stores, from couch to 5K, all right? So you're sitting on the couch, all these people are running, I think I'll go out and run.
Yes.
And then they run, and then they hurt themselves, and then, well, I tried running, that's not gonna work. What do you say to somebody like that?
I love the motivation, I love the passion there, because I feel like everyone is trying to find a way to get back into the scene of exercise, or one of their friends is doing great and back into running, or exercising, and they want to be able to join them. They want to do it for weight loss, they want to do it for strength training, but they have no idea where to start. And running is such a personal passion of mine now because I personally run, but I also love helping others learn how to do that better, continue to run through an injury or prevent an injury. And running is definitely a skill. I think many people don't look at it that way, actually. They feel like running should just be a very natural thing that everybody should just know how to do naturally, and it's not. Running is actually a skill. The classic saying really goes, you don't run to get fit, you actually need to be fit to run. And I think that's a misconcept.
Wow.
So people run to get fit.
Right.
Off the couch, you know, and that number, couch to 5K, so okay, I'm going to come off the couch, I'm going to be able to run, you know, 3.1 miles, okay, because I've got this training plan written on paper, and it means I should be able to compete just as well as somebody else does, but my body has not been tempered or trained to do that load, and then somebody hurts themselves, or some people make it through a first 5K and then they start training for their second one. Then something else goes wrong. They're like, oh, what did I do? But prevention is so great if you can have somebody actually guide you on how's your flexibility, how are your movement patterns, are you moving correctly? Do you have the proper strength and the tolerance and the endurance to handle that load and pounding that you're about to do on your body? Unfortunately, that prevention is kind of lost on so many because they only get that guidance after they're hurt. And then they're working backwards to try to help instead of getting that assistance beforehand to prevent that type of injury that's going to basically make them hate running.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like people searching out there, well, how do you even start?
Yes.
And they will come to you after they've been injured.
Yes.
All.
Yeah, so many times, that's the first time somebody picks up the phone to call me or comes to see me is that they've already got an injury. And so most of the time I'm kind of digging into the past, which may be just a couple months ago, figuring out, you know, when did you decide to do this particular activity? Walk me through the whole process so I can try to help figure out when did things start going wrong? Because it's not just, oh, I must have just been really weak or I must have just been really stiff and tight. Sometimes it's a true just training error. That actually you had all the correct makings, you just did too much, too soon, too fast. And that's pretty classic, not allowing your body to adapt, because our bodies will adapt, good or bad, based on the stresses applied to it. If you do it slow enough, consistently enough, your body will adapt to that in a good way. Too many times we have a couch to 5K in 6 weeks.
Right, and you kind of do balls to the wall and, oh,
That's right.
I hurt myself and I'm going to give this up.
I should be able to run 3 miles in 6 weeks. Have you ever run before? No. It's like, okay, you know, that's like honestly me saying I should be able to bench press, that's kind of a common exercise we all know about, 350 pounds in 6 weeks. People will look at me and be like, Chris, that's not going to happen. You're going to hurt yourself. But we don't think about that concept when we're running.
Right.
And running, with each footstep, we know via research that with every step you take via running, you're landing at 2.2 times your body weight on every single footstep, that pounding, that impact.
Wow.
So if you think about that in actually weight in pounds, that's quite a bit.
But that's supposed to strengthen your bones because you are pounding, right?
That's right. If you stress your body, do it slowly enough, consistently enough, your bones will remodel, become stronger. Your cartilage will become stronger. Your ligaments, your tendons will become stronger, healthier. But many times people think that running is bad for their knees or bad for their feet because they hurt themselves. And so many times it's because you did it too quickly.
They need to ease into it.
Yes. And they don't have it, and that's lost on, that means different things to different people too. We don't know what does ease into it mean. And they need a lot of guidance on what that is. And a lot of times I provide that guidance on the back end after that I've had to help them get over an injury, help their body heal, and then ease them back into that activity again while educating them how to get back to doing that.
Right. And I know you put on Facebook a couple different exercises, and I think you and Garrett McLaughlin
That's right.
have done some seminars on for runners that can be helpful and what they can do and stuff. And then you have kind of transitioned and changed your path, because now you are a sole proprietor.
I am.
After working for a very big name company for many, many years. I'm sure your experience is just incredible now. And you have the joy of being in a place that actually you're the third person I've interviewed that you're in the same building, and that's where PhysioFit is.
That's right.
And that's where Endeavor Performance is.
Todd.
Todd, which I've done a show on Brandy and Todd. And now you're the third one. And this is right in Melrose, next to the Melrose post office.
Yep.
And I love it because I can go and bike, or I can work out, or if I do something to myself, which has been happening, then there I am. I'm right there with you. It's one-stop shopping.
That's right. That's right.
Fabulous.
Everybody's there in the same spot. Good
Yeah.
professionals right beside one another.
Yeah, and then you have a wonderful, I mean, I can get there at 7 in the morning, you're there, you can work on me, and it's so convenient. And such a nice smiling face, and a lot of good energy to help one get over the little bumps and things that happens when you're training.
Yes.
So we're going to be putting your website, it's a new website.
That's right. It's actually should be up and running probably about a week and a half. I was kind of steamrolling right ahead.
Right, by the time we air, it'll be on there.
That's right. Perfect.
Yeah, and then tell us the official name of your company when they Google it.
That's right. Official name of the company will be Wolfe PT. My last name, WOLFE, PT.com.
Okay, Wolfe PT.
Yep.
And I can testify, that he has worked on me, and it's been very, very healing, and I've continued to do triathlons, and I'm living proof that you can keep going and don't believe what other people say, and you can keep going and really get the most out of life if you have a team of professionals like Chris who can really help you. Yes. So any last thoughts you have? You want to tell the world in 10 seconds what you...
Well, you know, I created a niche out of my physical therapy world, and the saying goes, you know, create a niche out of an itch. So that itch that I have is to be active. I love running, I love cycling, I love swimming, but I also love working on common orthopedic injuries as well. I love learning about it, and I love sharing that knowledge and helping other people, like you said, continue to heal, continue to move better, and learn how to do that.
Well, Chris Wolfe, PT to the stars, thank you very much.
Thank you, Becky.
Transitions, Body, Mind, Spirit.